The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome along to Thursday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock. There's a lot going on. We've got a packed show ahead. Brian O'Driscoll will be with us after 8 o'clock. He's going to be looking ahead to a big day for Ronan O'Gara as he brings La Rochelle to the Champions Cup final on Sunday at Twickenham. They're up against Toulouse. Brian's look ahead to that coming away from 8 o'clock. At 7:30, as always, John Giles. He'll talk about Harry Kane's future and also his Manager of the Year. On the football show, Brian Barry Murphy will be with us. He's the Rochdale manager, relegated from League One last weekend. A lot of Irish players at the club, so we'll check in with him on the football show. And we will also talk about one of the big stories of the day, the rumours linking Jim McGuinness to the Dundalk job. That is right, the Donegal All-Ireland winning football manager linked with one of the biggest jobs in Irish soccer. So we'll chat about that on the football show as well. And of course we'll keep a very close eye on the opening round of the USPGA at Kiawah Island. It hasn't been a good day for Rory McIlroy at all. 53106 is the text number. Add Off the Ball if you want to get in touch on Twitter. Richie McCormack is with us. Evening, Richie.
Hey Nathan, how are you?
I'm okay, and Joe Molloy is there as well. How are you keeping, Joe?
Hey gents, all good.
You've been watching day one, Kiawah Island. It's windy and it hasn't been particularly good for Rory.
No, it hasn't. So the leaders are Victor Hovland, Keegan Bradley, Brooks Koepka, who we thought was pretty much injured and walking on one leg after dislocating his knee earlier this year. So they're all on 3 under. McIlroy is back tied for 85th on 3 over, so 6 shots off the lead. He hasn't played awfully. It's just this course will punish you. He probably hasn't struck the ball brilliantly off the tee. I mean,
he's been wild enough off the tee, hasn't he?
Right, yeah, high and right off the tee. It was his first hole, the actual 10th hole. He started on 10, so he was off to a bogey start because of that right from the off. And he still is in early days of working with Pete Cowan and trying to fix the swing. So it's just still not a shock when this happens. And he obviously wasn't amazing off the tee at Quail Hollow even when he won. So he started off with bogey. To be fair, though, followed that up with birdie and had settled the ship okay at the end of his first 9. He was going around an even par. I think that was just fine in the conditions, but the back 9 for him, or the front 9 on the course, bogey on the first, bogey on the second, bogey on the 5th, bogey on the 7th. He had 1 birdie in there, so +3. To be honest, a few slices of bad luck thrown in, but a bit wayward off the tee. Scrambled so well at times and putted so well at times. Just, you can't keep doing it. You can't keep getting away with it, and it caught up with him. So, look, +3, 6 shots back. He'll need to do something decent tomorrow to get himself back in the frame.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, and Kiawah is one of those US-style linksy courses that pop up on the PGA and US Open rotation where you're going to get bad luck over the course of 4 rounds. There's these tufts of grass. There's no bunkers at Kiawah Island, so there's no relief. At one stage his ball was embedded, I think it was on the 3rd or 4th hole, and anywhere else you get relief and you'll be able to place it. You don't get that at Kiawah Island. And because it's Rory, we look into this and extreme high at Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow, and now it's, all momentum is lost. Where actually, as you said, at Quail Hollow, his driving wasn't particularly good. He just had an outrageous week with his iron play, with his scrambling, and with his putting. And those people who assess the stats would look and say, well, Rory's one of the best drivers in the game. If he improves there, which he naturally will, he's going to blitz the field, rather than looking at a way of, hey, it's going to be very difficult for him to put and scramble as well as he did at Quail Hollow. And it's probably just a bit of an evening out without driving particularly well today. But 6 shots back, certainly not out of it, unless someone goes crazy over the course of the evening.
Yes, and I think the wind is picking up, so that's probably unlikely. At Quail Hollow, he was 51 for 51 putts inside 6 feet. It was outrageously good. I'd be very heartened by how he's played today. I don't think he's going to win this tournament now, but his short game, really, really good. The putting, excellent. And the scrambling, some of the chip shots he had to make to save par were genuinely exceptional. So that part of his game is in very good nick. A little bit wayward in this course and you're in trouble. Bryson DeChambeau, we said it during the Week in Golf Weekly, that waywardness was going to cost him. So, he has struggled. Anyone who's struggled has been a bit wayward. That has applied to McIlroy. I have no doubt Pete Cowan will fix this sooner rather than later. And so if his short game and his putting holds up, then I'd be very heartened still. This is not as demoralising as couple of weeks ago or months ago at the Masters by any means. It's just tough course, tough day. Things kind of happen. The wind is up, so it's just that kind of a situation for McIlroy. Interestingly, Brad Faxon's on Sky Sports, so they're quizzing him non-stop about the putting and what they've been working on. He's really good on the commentary. I'm sure people will see him over the weekend. Really knowledgeable.
It was an incredibly low-key build-up to this major, maybe because it's the PGA and there's always been question marks about its major status. It had its place in August. It was the final major of the year, so there was at least a bit of a buzz that, all right, we know what's gone on. There might be momentum for certain players, where as now there's been a lot of big tournaments already, and this one just feels like another one rather than having that major feel. But Jordan Spieth could complete the career Grand Slam this week. He could join that most illustrious of lists. And again, this part of the world he's sort of forgotten about. He's just teed off in the last few minutes.
Yeah, we're all a bit parochial, aren't we? I guess the three players over the last decade are McIlroy at the Masters, Spieth at the USPGA, and Mickelson at the US Open, who are striving for immortality and to join that most exclusive list, to have won all four majors. And this is Spieth's go. It's his fifth go. You reckon he's got a great chance? I wouldn't disagree with you.
Absolutely. He was my number one tip for the week. I think the form he's got, he doesn't mind playing in the wind, and he has that X factor that you wouldn't be surprised to see him on that list of Grand Slam winners. It's not a bad leaderboard right now. It's maybe a modern golf leaderboard, in that if you're a bit of a golf nerd, Richie, you look at it and think, yeah, there's a lot of quality players up there. Victor Hovland, who has emerged as one of the best European players right now, is tied for the lead on 3 under par. Brooks Koepka's a 4-time major winner. Again, perfect build-up for him. Nobody talking about him. Everyone writing him off because of the injury. He's on 3 under par. Keegan Bradley, who's won this tournament, 3 under par. And Colin Morikawa, who's the defending champion, again, a player barely mentioned in the build-up, is also on 3 under par. So they're the four at the moment who are tied for the lead. We mentioned McIlroy in 3 over. Spieth just going out. And Shane Lowry just about to tee off as well. I know what you're thinking, Richie. Where can I get more of this good stuff? I can't believe he gave me so much of that for nothing. It is a major week, so Golf Weekly has cranked up the gears, serving up loads of exclusive extra content to our subscribers. Golf Weekly patrons get access to an early tournament preview. That's already there. A Sunday watch along, which is coming this Sunday about 6 o'clock, depending on the final round tee off times. We're going to have some very special guests alongside the 4 regulars. We'll have a Monday review pod and the regular Thursday pod as well. And if you've been with us for the last few weeks, you know we've had some brilliant interviews. And the last 3 weeks alone, we've had Shane Lowry, Padraig Harrington, Dolly Pepper, and loads more. They're all there for you on otbsports.com/Golf Weekly. It is all for the price of $3.99 a month plus that. We'll come back to the golf in a few minutes, but the news round on Off the Ball on News Talk is with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. 53106, particularly if you're from Dundalk and you're wondering what the hell is going on, because this is a fascinating story. Richie, fill us in.
Yeah, it's almost difficult to get it out properly. Former Donegal football manager Jim McGuinness has emerged as a candidate for the Dundalk manager's job. The Lilywhites have been under the temporary stewardship of sporting director Jim Magilton since last month, when both Filippo Giovagnoli and Shane Keegan left their roles at the club. McGuinness has been working towards his UEFA Pro licence since early 2019 and was briefly in charge of the American second-tier club Charlotte Independence. Magilton confirmed today that talks have been held with the 2012 All-Ireland winning manager, but McGuinness is just one of the candidates being considered.
So when this came out earlier today, Richie, it looked as though there was a real possibility that Jim McGuinness would be the man to succeed Shane Keegan, Filippo Giovagnoli. The latest stories in the last hour that while they've spoken, it seems unlikely he'll get the main gig, but we know at Dundalk there's many managerial gigs.
Yeah, there is. And I guess crucial to that is the pro licence. I mean, he is trying to get that done, and obviously the pandemic has put the mockers on that. He was in the same class as Keith Andrews and same class as Damien Duff and Robbie Keane, and a couple others around the league as well, like the assistant manager Hegarty up at Finn Harps too. So he's trying to get that done, and the pro licence was a sticking point for Dundalk. Clearly there are other candidates that have been mentioned. I don't know if I've spoken to. Magilton was only really posed the McGuinness name today, I think. David Healy up at Infield has been one of the names thrown about as well, who would be a really astute appointment, I think, if that one comes to pass. But I think for Dundalk fans, I know this is going to happen over and over again. For Dundalk fans, they just want a bit of stability, and they want a sense that there is a manager in charge who knows the league and knows the club and knows what is required of the remaining, whatever it is, 2/3 of the season, because they have made a good start. The players that they have brought in, and there have been many, are not up to the standards of the ones that have gone. We're looking at the likes of Sean Horan, Sean Gannon, who've gone to the Shamrock Rovers, and even John Mountney as well, who was spoken of in glowing terms on this show a couple of weeks ago by Shane Keegan, who's gone to St. Pat's. Like, they're just not at the same level. They might be in a while. It might take a while. But they need somebody who knows the league and who knows to, drain the best out of that squad, because it hasn't happened so far. And you would worry that the longer things drag on and this process, labours on, and they're talking to people and people are dropping out of the process and people are, putting their names out there and that mightn't actually have the full intentions of going through it. Like, it just needs sorting and it needs a bit of common sense. And I'd be worried if I was a Dundalk fan.
It's a difficult one to analyse, Joe, because Jim McGuinness isn't the chancer here. So put away his Donegal heroics, and clearly someone who can get players to perform at an elite level, a high performance level, and he's going through his coaching badges. So he hasn't put his hand up and said, listen, I want to somehow skip the queue here. But I guess there's an awful lot of coaches around the country who have experience of managing professional football teams who will probably think, actually, he is trying to skip the queue here.
They may well, yeah. I mean, it would be box office. There's no doubt. That's the starting point. All eyes would be on Dundalk to see how McGuinness got on. I'm surprised, like Richie mentioned, the UEFA Pro license situation. I would have thought, given the situation last season, that is the last thing Dundalk would be going near. I'm amazed they would want to risk that. I mean, embarrassment is kind of the word, if you're being honest again, because it was embarrassing for the club last year with the Giovagnoli thing and all the messing around there. The really tricky thing for us is, and I think it has to apply to Jim McGuinness and the powers that be at Dundalk as well, when we're trying to analyse this potential appointment, how good a football manager is Jim McGuinness? Well, I don't have a clue. And frankly, I don't know how much of a clue Dundalk could have either, because there's not much of a track record there to choose from. As you said, he absolutely has managerial skills and considerable ones. The football knowledge, look, he strikes you as diligent. He hasn't given up the last half a decade plus of his life for folly. He's been working very hard at this, but it would be a gamble, in so much as all managerial appointments are, but it would be a gamble, and Dundalk need to get the next appointment right. I had seen reports that he was offered initially a short-term role, but that he wasn't so keen on taking a temporary basis role. So you suspect there's some negotiations going on there. I saw there was an interview with McGuinness where he was asked if McGuinness had been selected as the next manager, and McGuinness said, he's definitely not selected. And then he was asked, well, is he in the running? And the response was, he could be. And so then he was asked, is he definitely in the running for the role? The reply to that was, no, you said that. So look, that's for me.
Maybe Jim McGuinness needs to stop doing press conferences.
You know what? It's a suggestion.
Not great.
Yeah, it's a suggestion, because like the banners that were unfurled behind the stand behind the goal at Oriel a couple weeks ago, saying this kind of stuff has to stop. I mean, McGuinness's not helping with those kind of comments. You can just straight bat it, move on. One of a number of candidates we're speaking to, and go from there. But he hasn't. They just need. I'd hate to give off the assumption that this is a closed shop and that people shouldn't be given chances and that new coaches shouldn't be given jobs. But the situation that Dundalk are in versus the situation where they have been for the past 5-6 years, they're very much at odds with one another, and it needs somebody with that level of experience to actually right the ship, and given the money that they've invested in the squad, get the best out of them. Because giving it to a rookie, whether that's Jim McGuinness or whether that's Davy McCartan from down the road, it doesn't matter. They need somebody with experience to actually get that team back up the league, because it's a squad that's not performing to its best capabilities at the moment.
The rule is that if McGuinness was enrolled in a pro license course, which he is, that he would be fine. They need to be on the course. Filippo Giovagnoli wasn't on a course, and the difficulty was because in Ireland there's such a long gap that they couldn't get him on a course. So there wouldn't be an issue in that way.
Well, in fairness, that's very significant. I was trying to figure out the situation there. So look, that clears one major hurdle. And yes, on the one hand, you could talk about McGuinness as a rookie or whatever the word would be. On the other hand, he's not quite that though. He, in terms of stabilising a dressing room and fixing a culture and getting people back on board, he has a lot of expertise in that department. So he's a really interesting case in that way. There's definitely a part of his skill set that is, I think you could say, exceptional based on what he did with Donegal, and is transferable. That's why it's so intriguing.
Yeah, I think, as you said, you used the word gamble, and it just feels that Dundalk, with the success that they've had and the position they're in Irish football, they shouldn't be in a position where they need to gamble. You should be able to go and get the best possible person maybe Jim McGuinness is that, maybe goes on to prove to be that, but right now it's hard to make a case that he would be. Stewie Byrne's going to be with us on the football show talking about this type of scenario, which he saw at Shelbourne, where you go from the highest of highs and near Champions League qualification to the depths of relegation and the sort of mismanagement that can go on that can end up causing that. So he's going to talk to us about that on the football show. Kieran's a Dundalk fan. He said, I feel like this is a long-running nightmare. I just want to wake up. My weekends are ruined. A metaphorical cloud is hanging over the town because of what's happening at the club. I'm sure it is for so many people. Dundalk, such a brilliant footballing town, had so many highs and felt that they could kick on and maybe not be qualifying for the Europa League every year, but certainly competing for League of Ireland titles. This is hugely disappointing. And Liz has said, thanks Joe Molloy for giving a sympathetic account of Rory's first day, unlike his nemesis, name redacted on channel redacted, from Liz. Who's Rory's nemesis?
He has a few.
Sky, is it?
McGinley?
No, Sky are like his big
McGinley?
fans, I would say.
Is his nemesis? Oh, well, it's not Nick Doherty, that's for sure. It is not Nick Doherty. Wow, Nick was... I do love Nick, but boy does... I'm not sure I love anything as much as Nick loves Rory.
Well, listen, I mean, what would Rory have to shoot for Nick to say it wasn't a good round?
He's still in there. He is still in there. What else you got for us, Richie?
Yeah, the 2022 college football season is going to begin at Dublin's Aviva Stadium. Northwestern University will take on the University of Nebraska on August 27th of next year. The pandemic had forced the college football visit to Dublin in successive years to be cancelled. 23,000 fans are due to travel to Dublin for that game, all going well.
Yeah, great news. Signs of some sort of normality returning next year. Harry Kane, more breaking news today.
Yeah. He says he doesn't want to end his career with any regrets. The England captain has told the Northumberland club, apparently, that he wants to leave after another season without silverware. He's played a round of golf with Gary Neville with the cameras rolling, and speaking to Neville, Kane admits that he's at a crossroads in his career.
I think so. I think it's definitely a conversation to be had with the club. Yeah, like I say, I want to be playing in the biggest games, the biggest moments. Like this season, I'm there watching the Champions League, watching the English teams in there doing amazing, and they're the games I want to be involved in. I want to be in them games. So for sure, it's a moment in my career where I have to kind of reflect and see where I'm at and have a good, honest conversation with the chairman. And I hope we can have that conversation. And yeah, I'm sure he will want to kind of set out the plan of where he sees it. But ultimately, it's going to be down to me and how I feel and what's going to be the best for me in my career at this moment in time.
We're going to talk more to John Giles on this very shortly, but Joe, it feels like it's only going one way.
Yeah, look, he's not going to all this trouble to alienate Spurs fans for no good reason. It is all going one way. And I think good on him, to be honest. I mean, there could be an assumption with Kane, just because he came through the ranks there and he seems like a very decent chap, that he would just sit there and nod his head and accept everything. The fact is the club hasn't been run well for the past 18 months, 2 years. I'm not sure they should have got rid of Pochettino. Maybe that had reached its natural end. But Jose Mourinho was never the right appointment. And I think, player as good as he is, there is a steel about Kane that, isn't always to the fore. And it's coming to the fore now. I think, as he said himself, he can stay there and win nothing, or we can go and try and retire with a couple of medals. He's good enough to.
Harry Kane is in most people's team of the year. John gave his seal of approval to my team of the year, I think it's fair to say, which I picked on OTB AM yesterday, Joe. I was getting hammered for selecting Luke Ayling at right back, but John said, that is the sort of selection that only true football men would make, and he was fully supportive of it. Says he should be in the England squad. Good on me, eh?
No bias
Good
there
on
on
you.
John's part.
Don't hurt yourself slapping yourself in the back there, Nate.
I know.
Would you call up and say, John, I need you here?
I need some backing. I'm getting
really against it.
Would you mind signing this, please?
the world is on top of me. Are you outraged one way or another by Luke Ayling, Joe?
No, I'm not. No, I get your logic. Yeah, look, don't listen. You are commentating week in, week out.
Thank
You're
you.
watching these guys. Dude, you stick to your guns, my man.
Exactly. I don't need to be consistent. I can just pick whoever the hell I want. Yes, I can say that one guy gets in because he's massively improved, and another guy doesn't play enough, even though he played the same amount as Jack Grealish. Anyways, maybe I got too wound up about this. You can look back in that on all our social channels, and John Giles be giving his team of the season as well over the coming weeks. Time for one or two quick stories, Richie.
Yeah, Ryan Johansson says it was a no-brainer to declare for the Republic of Ireland. Born to an Irish mother and Swedish father in Luxembourg, the Sevilla midfielder qualified for all three countries. Johansson had already represented Ireland at underage level, but red tape threatened to prevent him from making further progress. But with that all cleared up now, the 20-year-old has told FAI TV that he's looking forward to his future in green.
Well, of course, it's multiple reasons, and it was never easy to kind of turn down a nation and a country that, you know, I've loved, and I'm very patriotic for all three countries that I am eligible for. But I do feel more attached to Ireland in a sense. You know, I have a lot of family there, and my mom is of course Irish. But also football-wise, I think is of course a very important factor that was brought into the decision. And just the professionalism of how the Irish coaches handled everything, and the Irish staff and the FAI, and just everything setting me up to be able to play for Ireland. And definitely playing with Ireland in the under-19s was an amazing experience. I think I was welcomed very well into the team through the coaches and the players. So just multiple kind of reasons that made me make the decision. But once it came down to it, once, you know, my parents asked me the question, like, who do you really want to play for? Like, well, what is your final decision? And it was a no-brainer in the sense of choosing Ireland. And that's where my heart kind of wanted to go.
Very well-spoken young man there, Ryan Johansson. We are pretty much out of time, but just to let you know that we're very excited. Next Thursday night, we've got our exclusive OTB Sports UEFA Champions League final preview show in partnership with Pepsi Max. That is next Thursday, May 27th. We're going to be joined on the night by Manchester City and Chelsea legend Sean Wright-Phillips. He'll be chatting about his career with both clubs and with England, and looking ahead to the Champions League final. We'll have Manchester United's hero of 99, Teddy Sheringham, as well. And we will also get the thoughts of the Republic of Ireland's two-time MVP winner Denise O'Sullivan. The only way you can see the entire show is to be registered for the night. You can get your tickets right now on otbsports.com/events. Pepsi Max, maximum taste, no sugar. You can use the hashtag for the love of it. Richie, thank you as always.
Cheers, lads.
Joe, enjoy your evening of golf.
All right, Jen, see ya.
All right, quick break, and we're back with John Giles.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
Discover MacBook Air at Harvey Norman. Get the MacBook Air and AirPods Pro from as little as €59 per month with tech credit flexible payment options. MacBook Air is Apple's thinnest and lightest notebook, now transformed by the powerful Apple M1 chip. Spread the cost over 12, 24 or 30